3, 2, 1. Your life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Induction Cooking. I'm Elana from Sustainable Princeton, and I'm with our lovely executive director,
Christine Symington.
And so we've made for you a drink so far. We've made bread. Now we're ready for an entree. So what are we making today?
We are making chili, one of the most easiest things to just whip together that can be done in one pot on one induction cooktop that will give you a few meals, and you can, I'm sure everyone has their favorite chili recipe or likes to experiment with different chili recipes like I do. So it's just something that's very easy for me to make because I live in a small apartment with not a lot of countertop and a gas cooktop that I wanted to stop using. So I got one induction cooktop as a Christmas gift, and I basically do all of my cooking on this one cooktop. So having a one-pot meal is really helpful when you live in a small apartment.
Yes, I can totally relate to that. Actually, I also live in an apartment. I did the same thing that Christine did. I bought one of these and laid it right on top of the grates of my gas stove, and we do not use the gas anymore, which is awesome. So, this chili recipe is plant-based, right?
Yes, it is.
All right.
This is entirely vegan. So if you have a meatless diet, this is totally something you could add to your recipe.
I'm excited. So maybe we should talk through the ingredients.
Sure. So again, I'm not a chili expert, and I don't think you need to be a chili expert. You just have to understand the basic, simple things. Start with chopped onions and garlic, and you saute them in a pot and with oil. You got to twist that off. It's a little complicated. And then you choose some basic vegetables that go in it. I chose red peppers and carrots, but you could use green peppers. You could use zucchini. I don't know if celery is something you can put in there. But you just pick your veggies of choice, chop about the same amount. This is maybe a cup. This is one red pepper, and this is 2 medium-sized carrots.
I'm going to show you guys so you can get a little view. And they are nicely evenly chopped, Christine.
I try to do my best. Again, I'm not a professionally trained chef, but I do find chopping vegetables very meditative. So I like trying to do a good job and mimic the chefs you see on cooking shows and how they chop vegetables.
I also love that you have glass containers with these silicone on them. So Christine is a cyclist, and I'm sure that these are very stable and are less likely to break.
Yes, so transit. Yeah, exactly. When I put them in a bag and I put them on my bike, I don't have to worry about things breaking in my bag. So I really like the ones with the silicone bottoms.
Cool.
Okay.
So first stab, what do you think?
Well, we got to start with the oil. We want to do add a little amount just to cover the bottom.
And how hot should we have this?
This is something I am working on getting the right temperature. I try to put it on my induction cooktop. I have different settings. It's like very low, medium, high, and sear. So I don't have to know specifically the temperature. I just kind of choose what I think the level is. So
I think about a medium right now.
It's about a medium. Well, I think that's fine. Yeah, because
5 out of 10.
I have tried to learn how to not burn garlic and onions when you try to saute them. That is something I do quite often. I'm not paying attention, but I do it a lot less on an induction cooktop than I do on my gas cooktop because I can control the temperature a little bit better. And if it looks like it's getting too hot, I just take the pot off or I turn it off, and the heat stops immediately.
Yeah. That's a good point. I have heard that's something that people need to get used to when they switch to induction. It gets hot faster than maybe electric coils do. But if you're used to cooking with gas, it's actually very similar.
Yes.
You got to watch the heat there.
Yeah. And I learned a little trick to know if it's ready to start is you just get a little bit of water in your hand and you splash on there. And if it sort of bubbles and skitters off it, it means it's ready to start sauteing. So I have some chopped garlic.
Our oil's actually starting to shimmer too.
Yes.
So there.
Okay. I might need a spoon. Get all this good garlic out. Okay, and then we add the diced onions.
Yum.
And just saute them so they soften.
We're getting to about a translucent kind of onion.
Yes.
Okay. Easy. So our next, do you go through all the vegetables first, or
I do the vegetables next, so
Nice.
they soften a little bit. Maybe they'll soak up some of the onion and garlic flavor a little bit. I don't know. What do you do?
I think that makes sense. I was gonna suggest I always go from hardest to softest. So usually, yeah, I would go with the carrots and then work your way kind of down.
Yeah.
It's really nice that you pre-chopped everything.
Yes.
From start to finish, how long do you think this would take someone to make it home?
Oh, well, with the chopping, I don't know, 15 minutes, and then cooking, I don't know. I guess, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 minutes.
That's a weeknight meal. Yeah, and it lasts for, I'm sure, a little while.
Yes, it
It's
does.
really nice. That's cool. We love making stuff like this in one pot. You only have one pot to wash then, and since you have one burner, I also have one burner. But for the folks at home, you could use 2 burners if you want, because we have 2 burners in our lending library, and you can check both out. We have multiple pots and pans that you can also borrow from us that are magnetic, so they are induction compatible. So if you want to give it a try, we've been saying this for a little while now, but once you try the induction, you will probably love it. So why not give it a shot? They're here. This is the perfect thing to use when you have company coming over. Maybe you just need a little warming station on your buffet. This is a really, really useful tool for that. And we have 2 of them, so give it a shot.
Yeah. I don't know if you talked about this in your other videos, but it's so much easier to clean. So I don't have to like take the grates off the gas cooktop. I just wipe down the top, and it's so much easier. And you don't get any of that little like black soot that you have on your.
That is such a good point. Actually, we hadn't talked about that. So if you have a gas cooktop, you probably have those grates where all the food gets trapped in there. These are flat. They have a glassy surface, so you just take a rag right over it. It cleans right off. My induction at home actually has a lock feature, so you can clean the buttons without having them turn on by accident. But as I mentioned, unless you have a magnetic pot making contact with it, even if I hit a button, it will not heat. So I say that's my favorite safety feature every time. So it is really easy to clean. My apartment before the one I currently live in, it was electric stove, but it was those coils. And we used to have that kind of tinfoil catcher situation. It's not very aesthetic, and they still get dirty no matter how many times you clean it. I agree. This is much cleaner. Yeah. This smells so delicious right now. You can really, I feel like nothing smells like cooking more than sauteed onions and garlic.
Yes.
Like, you just know it's dinner.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting translucent, and we're getting a little. Yeah,
Are we ready
I think
for
we're
some
ready for the carrots.
carrots? All right, I'm gonna.
So sometimes what I also do is when I have a little bit of this is just vegetable
It's like a stock.
stock.
Mhm.
Yeah. If I'm worried about burning or searing anything, I just add a little bit of it, sort of cool it down a little bit, and maybe the carrots will soak up some of the vegetable stock.
You know, technically, if you want to be fancy, you could say you deglaze the pan.
Oh yeah. See, I knew I was doing something fancy.
Yeah, it's a really good way to get all that yummy kind of caramelized stuff off the bottom anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And my favorite vegetable stock is from Better Than Bouillon
ooh,
that you get
mhm.
in their jar. It tastes so good. My aunt turned me onto it. It comes in a low sodium version because I
Nice.
think the cubes of bouillon are very salty. It's a very and one jar goes a long way because
I
you
have the
only
same.
need like a teaspoon with a cup of water. and I use it for so many things.
Yeah, I actually have the same one. It is very convenient. This past Thanksgiving, though, I did convince the family to make a stock with the leftover vegetable bits. We always have like a little crudité kind of situation to have a starter. So all those like little ends of celery, like carrot, bobs, they all went in. We made a delightful stock from scratch using the scraps.
Okay. All right. Why don't we add the peppers? And if you can stir that, I'll start opening up
Oh,
the
thanks.
cans.
So I have some questions for you about the electrify everything movement.
Yes.
You know, we talk about making the switch from gas cooking to electric, specifically induction, because it's so much more efficient and it doesn't use fossil fuels. But, you know, I hear a lot of people, they're worried about the amount of electricity that we're using in the grid and what's going to happen. You know, can we do it?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We do need to think very carefully about our electrical grid and making sure that it is resilient enough and to maintain the current electricity usage. But we also need to plan very thoughtfully on how we're going to make our electricity grid capable of supplying all the additional electricity we need as we electrify our vehicles, we electrify our homes. We do need to think very carefully about it and do it in a way that doesn't create price spikes like we're seeing right now with electricity costs, which have gone up primarily due to poor planning of adding extra capacity. There's the capacity of the electricity grid is being, there's an increased demand from data centers happening in our region, which created a price spike in the capacity markets, which translates into a price spike in our electricity bill. So it does require thoughtful planning, but the sort of truism or factoid that I have learned that I think really exemplifies why we need to switch to electrification is with our fossil fuels that about 2/3 of energy is lost from when we extract fossil fuels to when we ultimately use them. 2/3. So
What?
there's so much waste in that system. There is a lot less waste when we electrify. So I think we need to be concerned about our electricity grid. We need to make sure it's resilient, and we need to make sure that electricity remains affordable for people. But the good news is there are a lot of very smart people, particularly people who live in Princeton, who understand these and are really working hard on making sure that this happens. So I think it's inevitable that many of the things we rely on are going to be sourced from electricity, are going to be powered by electricity, but we need to do it in a thoughtful way.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know one thing I guess that gives me some comfort too is as electric appliances and things, they get more efficient. They actually use less electricity. That's one way to help kind of build that capacity too.
Yes.
I mean, I know this induction cooktop uses way less electricity than my old coil stove. That was so inefficient that heat was just getting lost.
Yes.
So that's, I think it's a good point to remember that I think it is the trend. We're going that way.
And a couple of things that I didn't think about when I switched to induction was that you might hear the fan, right? So I'm a human being. Sometimes I step away from the kitchen while something might be warming up. I know it's still on when I hear the fan running. So I know that I need to go back. So the sound of the fan is actually has been a good thing because I know something's still cooking. Where if you had something just warming on a regular gas cooktop or a coil, it's silent. You don't know you've got you're still cooking.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have definitely burned things in my toaster oven before because we don't have that little tick, tick, tick sound. And I do wish it had a little fan. Like, I agree. It is really helpful to hear it. These are
Okay.
looking pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, the rest is just really easy. You just throw everything in there and spice it and season it to your taste. So I don't think there's any particular order for the tomatoes. So we have 2 cans of crushed tomatoes, and I've got 2 cans of kidney beans and 2 cans of pinto beans to add.
Nice.
But use your beans of your choice. Chickpeas. Sometimes I use chickpeas. Sometimes I use cannellini. Yeah. So it's up to you.
You soaked them, or they're canned. You just
They're
drained out the
canned,
water.
and I drained and rinsed them.
Easy. Yeah, that's so easy for a weeknight meal like this. I mean, oh,
You
perfect.
can't go wrong with having a stock of canned beans in your pantry.
That is so true. Yum! This looks great.
And I just add the vegetable stock.
Come on in. Nice. So we're gonna bring this to a boil.
Well,
Like a
we'll
simmer?
add the tomato.
I'll turn it up
crushed
just a
tomato.
touch.
Yeah, just bring it to a simmer.
Nice.
Yeah, this is usually the point where I walk away and do something else. And so to know that it's still on with the sound of the fan is very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good point.
And I've got a couple of different seasonings. I've got ancho chili powder, and I don't use exact measurements. I just
Measure with your heart.
exactly.
Yeah, this looks great. So while you're getting those spices, we at the end of our past live streams, we've always talked about the $250 rebate for folks who want to actually purchase a induction stove. They can get this $250 post-purchase rebate through PSE&G.
Okay.
And I think it's a good question. It's a common question: is where is this money coming from for these energy efficient incentives that PSE&G offers?
Yeah. There are a couple of sources that are used for the various energy efficiency programs, whether it's for doing energy efficiency improvements to your home or your business, or for incentives at point of sale, like for the induction cooktops. And there's a new point of sale rebate for battery powered landscaping equipment. And the sources of funding for those can come from a couple of sources. One is what's called the societal benefits charge. So you may notice on your electricity bill, there's something called the SBC charge, or societal benefits charge, that goes into a pot of money that the state uses to put towards these energy efficiency incentives. Another source of funding comes from RGGI, Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. So New Jersey joined the RGGI program several years ago, and that is a program where entities that create carbon emissions have to pay into or provide funding, and then the state gets money through the regional greenhouse gas initiatives, and the state has a plan on how those funds are to be spent to reduce emissions and to adapt to climate change. So there's a couple of sources of funding that are coming from those methods.
So it's almost crazy not to take advantage of them.
Exactly.
I mean-
with the societal benefit charge and the RGGI fund, if we don't use it as it's supposed to, it's money. It's there for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do think that these incentives, they really, really help folks make this change. But I also think it'd be really great if we talked a little bit about community solar, how that can also help kind of reduce some of the price hikes in the electricity bill.
Sure. So the state of New Jersey implemented a community solar program back around 2018, 2019. And it started with a pilot program, and it's now a permanent program. And the way I think about community solar and the role it plays is, think about if you own a home and you could put solar on your rooftop. That's great. That should be your first choice. Or if you own a commercial property and it's an ideal location for solar, that's great too. But there are people that can't install solar on the rooftop. You live in an apartment, maybe you have a lot of trees and you don't want to cut them down. But there are locations in our state which are ideal for solar, but there's no one that needs the electricity where that solar array would be sited. So it's really matching locations that are ideal for solar with people who would like to offset some of their electricity from solar, or electricity generated by solar, but can't do it where they live or where they work. So the program is basically matchmaking, places where you can generate solar electricity with people who need it. So in New Jersey, you can go to a web page where it's a community solar finder page, and you can find if there are any community solar projects which are currently open for subscribers. And it'll tell you where that community solar project is sited. It'll give you what is called your bill credit amount. So if you subscribe to that community solar project, after you're enrolled, you will start seeing a bill credit on your electricity bill. I'm currently signed up to one that gives me about 15%. That was one of the earlier projects.
Nice.
More recent projects have somewhere between 21 to sometimes 30 or over
Nice.
30% of a bill credit, which, as you mentioned, is really important right now
Yeah.
as we've seen the cost of electricity go up. This is a very easy way to reduce some of your electricity costs. And the way the program is designed, the way the rules are written, you can unsubscribe anytime without any penalties. And for some of the projects, the length of the subscription could be up to 15 years, which is basically the lifetime of what the financial arrangement is for that particular solar project. Oh, and it's free. It's free to sign up. It's free to enroll, and it sounds too good to be true, but
There's no catch.
there's no catch.
There's no catch.
Right. Yeah. And what state of New Jersey did, to their credit, was the rules require that 51% of all installed community solar in the state of New Jersey has to serve low and moderate income households. So this is I think a real important priority that we try to find ways to make sure that low and moderate income households can get subscribed to community solar. Because utility bills are often a larger portion of the low and moderate income households expenditures than it is for someone who's a medium or high income. So anything you can do to reduce the cost of living for low and moderate income households is really important.
That's key.
Yeah.
So I see this starting to simmer. I think maybe while we let this simmer before we taste it, I gotta ask, I think this is everyone's favorite question. What's the deal with those third-party energy companies?
Yes.
Is that the same as community solar? I mean, you get them in the mail. They promise clean energy. They're like, please sign up. You don't want to use fossil fuels. But
yes, it is not the same as community solar. So also, New Jersey is also one of the states that has what's called a deregulated electricity market, where you can shop for an electricity supplier. And you can shop for one that provides electricity at a lower rate, or one that will claim to source the electricity from more renewable sources. So I recommend going to our website. We do have information on how do you select. Some things to be aware of, that you are probably getting some in the mail. I get them quite frequently, and they offer what are like teaser rates. They'll say, if you sign up for this electricity supply, we'll give you a $100 Visa gift card, and you will get this discounted rate for the next 12 months. And those are, teaser rates to get you signed up. And then often they will then raise the rates after a period of time to be higher than what you would just pay PSE&G. So we don't recommend doing that. You also have to look very carefully at those that are saying they're sourcing the electricity or they're supporting electricity, renewable electricity. Some of them are doing that by buying or retiring renewable energy certificates from places elsewhere in the country, and may or may not be doing a lot to encourage new generation of renewable electricity in our utility or electrical grid area. So you want to, think about it. As I said, on our website, we have some information to help you make a decision. And because there's some uncertainty with third-party electricity suppliers, we're really encouraging folks to really look at community solar as a way, or if you can, install solar at your residence on your rooftop.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about community solar too. It kind of creates those jobs in your local community and keeps that economy alive there, which is a co-benefit to also having clean energy.
Exactly.
So I think, if you guys could smell this, I know I say that every time, but we have really made some delicious food. Do you think it's ready to try?
I think it's ready
All
to
right,
try.
let's do it. I have 2 bowls here for us, and I promise I'll give you guys a closer look. If anyone has any last minute questions, if you're joining us live, this is one of the benefits to joining live is we will take a question before we give these a taste. So this is a great time. If you want to ask Christine a question, leave a comment, send us something, and
well, I got a question from this morning. I coincidentally was meeting with a Princeton resident who had questions about induction cooktop. They themselves bought a single induction cooktop to stop using their gas stove. And he had a question that I have to do a little more research on.
Ooh, let's hear it.
He and his wife are thinking of downsizing soon, so they didn't want to. They're on the fence whether or not they should buy, full induction cooktop, right? A combination cooktop and stove. And they thought, well, if I sell my house, well, then someone would probably just switch it back to gas.
Oh,
Are people really embracing induction cooktops, or are people still really tied to natural gas? And I said, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we're doing these videos and encouraging people to buy them from our lending library, so more people have this as the default choice. And so I don't know if we're at that tipping point where, like we are with like electrical vehicles and other things, where people are ready to make that change when it's time to make a change, and we don't have to worry about people going back to gas powered or fossil fuel.
That's a good question. I know I certainly would not go back. I know I'm a little biased here, but once you use the precision of induction cooking, I don't see any reason to go back to the way it was. So if you're curious, give it a try. And if you're thinking about installing one in your house, you can check out the energy efficiency rebates at homeenergy.pseg.com. There's $250 post-purchase rebate for when you want to install your own. And there's also some other really cool things on there too. So with that, should we give it a try?
Sure. Bon appetit.
Cheers. Oh, that's so good. Oh my God. All right. I promised one for the camera. Check it out. It's like the perfect mix of textures in there. Thank you so much for teaching me this delightful recipe. I am definitely going to make this. And I think, it's nice if you can just let it simmer.
You're welcome.
Let it simmer. Yeah. Well, y'all, thanks for joining us. And next week, we are going live again with finally a dessert recipe. We are completing the full meal. So Lisa and I are going to make yummy dessert for you on the induction cooktop. Same time next week. Until then, bye.